Long before DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the notion of a more integrated society with equal opportunity had taken the form of a mantra of tolerance. We should all tolerate one another. I always bristled at the notion of tolerance. We shouldn't just tolerate one another. We should embrace each other and our differing cultures. I live in a very diverse community. I live in San Diego, and I live in an old central part of San Diego where the community is very mixed. Uh, Very large Latino population. Of course, that's expected, being next to the border. Um, Black Americans, lots of Asians. I have a neighbor friend from Lebanon, another neighbor from Syria. Um, it's just a very diverse neighborhood. I walk my dog Brandy every day. We go for a 3 mile walk. And on the weekends, when people are off work, it's always interesting to go through the neighborhood and smell the smells coming from kitchens because you can smell the ethnicity. As a matter of fact, we have a Middle Eastern market that is uh, within about 4 or 5 blocks of our house. And I enjoy the diversity. As I've talked about in other videos, and if you've read my book, you know, I'm a lawyer. I practiced as a civil trial lawyer for 35 years. And for 3 years, about 20 years ago, I was a high school mock trial coach. Mock trial is a national program where students are, every year they have a new case, and the case has witnesses and standard set of facts. And the students are taught a little bit about practice, and they conduct a mock trial. And there are different levels of competition that go within the county and then all the way up to regional and national. I always considered that a great platform to help uh, blossoming adults look at bigger issues in the world, including the issue of embracing different cultures. And I've talked about food on at least one of the videos so far. I enjoy food and I enjoy different kinds of food. And so I would start out from the standpoint of food with my students about embracing different cultures. And I would just ask them, how would you feel if all you could eat every day for the rest of your life was hamburgers and French fries? No Chinese food, no Mexican food, no Italian food, and so forth. And I think that is a good illustration. And then music, even more so. Our music, contemporary music, is such a mix of different genres. And it's not just a contemporary thing. You go back to the early days of rock and roll that I grew up with, my favorite years of music from the 60s and 70s. And the influences come from all over. Blues, uh, Southern rock developed, folk rock, all kinds of influences. And it's enriching to experience different cultures. Um, as you know, I'm Jewish, and I think it's come up in one of the other videos. My wife is Mexican. She was born and raised in Mexico. She's Christian, not Jewish. I enjoy people from different backgrounds. I have a friend from Egypt who is a very prominent doctor in Tucson. And we don't know each other very well. We became friends many years ago, and we visited him in Tucson. And it's very interesting how being exposed to cultures and learning to embrace one another impacts your attitudes for the rest of your life. My friend Osama, the Egyptian in Tucson, um, he was born and raised in Egypt. And I had a point blank discussion with him very early in our relationship because he was in Egypt at the time of the 6 Day War and they were bombed. And I asked him, how is it you do not hate Jews? Why aren't you resentful of Jews after having lived through that experience? And he said, because I grew up with Jews. He said, my family and I, we lived in a building that was Muslims, Jews, and Christians. And we all got along. We loved each other. And so that always tempered my thinking. And he told me that the position he got first of all, he got into medical school in the United States with the help of a Jew. And the position he ended up getting with the practice that he's been in for his entire professional life was because of a Jew. And he said, that's how I view the world. The more we stay isolated from one another, the more we fear one another, and the more we are able to learn to hate and think of the other as the other instead of embracing each other. So I am a strong believer in learning about other cultures, meeting people, getting to know them. And so often we find that we have more in common than we don't.